and stick to it. Keeps your mind busy.
Hey, I want to apologize real fast. We just realized we didn't have sound. So if you're just joining us, we've got sound now. I apologize for that. Noelle was just sharing that she experienced deployment both as a mom and then also before she had children. And we were answering Megan's question about what the spouse does that doesn't have kids. How do they stay busy during deployment and not get lonely? And so if you could real quick just touch on that again. Okay. We've got our sound back in real life here.
So before children, I took some classes through CYS to become an FCC provider, and that kept me very busy. And I was in Germany, so I traveled all over. I utilized the MWR, so I was able to take easy trips to different places. I made sure that I took up some hobbies because that's a great way to stay busy at home. Mm-hmm. Try it. You might like it. You'll find your little niche somewhere. And I also would utilize space available flights through the Air Force to travel all different places for free. And that's what kept me busy before I had children.
And you had even experienced it overseas, which I think would be, I don't know, a different dynamic than when you're closer to family and you can just go visit them, mm-hmm. Easier. And then, but you're clear overseas. What was that like? Was it scary? Mm-hmm. I mean,
I wasn't scared. I have a pretty open mind, so I was excited that I would get to go explore Europe by myself. I did fly a few places, with just a girlfriend, and that was really fun. I also flew my mom out to see me during deployment, so that was a really good time. I wasn't, I just embraced what I was in, and I didn't have kids, so I didn't have to worry about being home at a certain time. Eventually, I did get a job, so there's that.
Right.
That kept me busy, but I think that the community when you're stationed overseas is a lot tighter than stateside.
That's awesome. I love that. Real fast, now that we have sound, we have Tracy Hargis and Wendy Baird Packard joining us. If you have questions, we are discussing reintegration after deployment or the redeployment period. So if you have questions, go ahead and begin posting those for us now. And then also it's in honor of St. Patty's Day coming up tomorrow. Wendy brought us some fun costume additions.
I'm pretty sure I can't do this the whole show. Just saying. I'm looking, and I know I'm looking at you seriously, and I'm blinking, and I know it's a little tough, so maybe part of it. We'll see how long they stay.
And then also, this is Noelle Rasmussen joining us today. Would you quickly tell us again what you told us before we had
Sure, yes. I'm Noelle Rasmussen. I am married to Trey Rasmussen, and I have been a Army spouse, girlfriend and then wife for the last 9.5 years. We have 2 children and 2 dogs who have been traveling with us for the last 9.5 years.
Wow.
So that is so cool.
Yes.
What kind of dogs? I love dogs.
A lab mix and a golden retriever mix. So it's hairy and expensive to move.
Oh, that's right. You'll have to move them from Hawaii now. She's heading to Alaska this summer.
Yeah.
So thankfully it's in the summer.
And they went to Germany, right?
They went to Germany. My dogs flew to Germany. Mm-hmm. Not many people in our family did, but our dogs did.
Yeah.
Well, continuing our Q&A before we get to our main topic, Emily asks, my husband one time was gone for months with no contact from home allowed. How do you handle that during a deployment?
My husband was in Special Forces, so a lot of times he would, I wouldn't be able to talk to him, and that was hard, but I knew that I wouldn't be able to talk to him, so it's like, as long as you know ahead of time that you're not able to talk to him, I think it's easier to handle. But I would just keep myself busy. And, you always have the phone by your side constantly because you want to get that call whenever he could call. So, but yes, it's hard, but I think I'm the type of person that kind of puts it out of my mind. Okay, I can't talk to him. It'll probably be a couple of weeks. Just let it go. And we'll have lots to talk about when he does call. Yeah. So that's what I did. I think I handled it fine, just knowing. So, I mean, he'd tell me he was going to be on a mission. So, and that was it. And I knew, I don't know how long I'm going to be gone. So I'm just letting you know. Okay.
So the knowing that it could happen kind of helped.
Yeah, that helped.
It wasn't unexpected. So then that.
Right.
So if you go into it kind of knowing that may happen, and that actually kind of prepares your heart for it, I think.
Yes.
I agree.
Go in with the mindset of no news is good news.
Yes.
And don't watch the news. That's kind of how no news is good news, and don't watch the news, because you don't know anything about what's going on. And so you're going to automatically put yourself in a place that you really don't need to be with whatever comes across in the news. So don't watch the news either.
You know, also watching things that might have something that could produce anxiety. You know, stick to upbeat music, upbeat television programming shows, that type of thing. Right, anything to kind of keep it upbeat. Yeah. And I would go even with deployment when you have contact. Like when my husband is gone for a very long, I don't watch anything romantic or anything like. I don't even watch Lassie. You know, reruns of Lassie. I mean, I've been crying with Lassie for years. So even as a kid, so you know, the upbeat, no love songs. Yes. You know, unless you want a good cry, there's nothing wrong with a good cry once in a while. But.
And then I know that some people go through that. What is it called, a blackout or something? When they're over there, they say, "Oh, we're in the middle of a blackout," and I'm like shocked that they even know that there's a blackout. Right. You know what I mean? Yeah. I'm like, wow, at least you know that. Yeah. So you obviously know something's going on. So, yeah.
You get a little practice when they go to NTC. They are in the box for 2 weeks. Or if you were with them during boot camp, you can't talk to them then. So you kind of start preparing yourself that way, how you're going to get through it.
Yeah. Right.
I think planning a special activity to do once a week, mark it on your calendar. I will get out of my house and do this on this day. Yeah. That was a good thing to look forward to each week.
Yeah. That's good.
Really good.
I even do that now when I PCS to a new place. I have to immediately start getting something on my calendar, something to get me out of the house, something to look forward to. I think that's a great advice. Emily also shares some great tips on preparing our pets for deployment as well. And that's an aspect that I hadn't thought of, that our pets need to be prepared too. They're family members to us. So she said that they found one way that helps their pets is to leave the packed bags by the pet bed for a week or two before he leaves. It shows them that it's going to happen soon. And then she shares that her pet hates it when her husband is gone, and they have made the mistake of not prepping her the first time. All she saw in the days leading up was him in civvies. Then all of a sudden he put on a green uniform and left for weeks. She thought he abandoned her, and she even cried on his dirty laundry. That made me tear up when I read that the first time. Oh my goodness. So after he came back and put on his uniform again, she freaked out, understandably, because, you know, they don't understand when we tell them everything's fine. You know, they just know what they saw. So anyway, so she started prepping her for her pet's departure, or for her husband's departure. And since then she's calmed down so much and handles the long separations better. So just remembering that our pets, our children, along with ourselves and our spouses, need to be prepped for deployment. It affects the whole family, even the pets. So good advice. Well, so now let's start our chat about reintegration after deployment. So panel, what did you expect would happen after your soldier arrived home? You go to the welcome home ceremony, or you go pick them up at the airport or whatever, and you bring them home. What were your expectations? What did you think the first time would happen?
I didn't know. I didn't know what would happen the first time. I was really nervous about that. The weeks leading up to it, I was like, oh, what do I expect? Will he be different? Will he not be different? And so I was a little tentative when he got home. I was like, I don't know how to deal with him, because I didn't know how he was going to be. So I didn't know what to expect the first time through deployment. We had been through deployments through the Navy, but that was different because I was his girlfriend. And so that was like, oh, great, welcome home. And you'd go to your space and I'd go to my space, and it was different. Mm-hmm. So when he came home, I just really wanted him and my son to reconnect. And I just didn't know where that was going to go. My son was a teenager, and so I didn't know how that was going to happen. But, so I didn't know what to expect. How about you? Okay, I have to stop blinking. Sorry. Just for a minute. I feel like
what to expect?
Take me seriously. Just stop blinking.
They're usually tired.
Oh, yeah.
Traveling.
Because they've been up 24 hours.
So
48 hours.
I'm the type of person that kind of you just see how it goes. I mean, he was always into the kids and, playing around with them and doing things with them. So, but it's just weird. It's one of those weird feelings. You're like, how are they feeling? How are you feeling? And, but I mean, it's good. It's a good integration, especially if they're coming home in the middle of the night. That's hard.
Yes.
So.
And I think we should talk about that just really quickly too, is the expectation of them coming home on the day they say they're coming home. Mm-hmm. Probably not going to happen.
That's true.
Right.
And so I stopped telling my son that it was the day and we had a rule where my husband, when he was flying in the U.S. on his last flight, he would say, today's the day. That's when I'm coming home, because he was delayed for 2 weeks. And that was we had built that up. We had decorated the house, and then they got delayed the day they were supposed to leave. And so that was really hard. So I have learned to maybe not believe it until it's actually there. And then he tells me, yes, I'm on an airplane. Yes, I'm on my last leg. And then we're like, all right, decorate the house. Today's the day. It's going to happen. So kind of anticipate that it could change. That first date is usually not the date they come back.
Right.
At least my experience. You?
Same. I've been called 2 hours before he's supposed to arrive to say they had never left. So I'm already curling my hair, getting ready, and I get the phone call. I'm like, no way. So, and it was another 3 days before they actually came home. So
anticipate that in the beginning and kind of keep it low key, especially if you've got kids, you have kids, because that's really hard on them.
Right.
Yeah.
Really hard on them.
Definitely. So then what was, like you had talked about, that the plans could change last minute, as usual, typical Army style.
Yes.
So what was the reality of the homecoming? What was it like in the days and weeks after he came home?
I would say that first moment you see them, when you're waiting for them and you put your arms around them again, it's like you're falling in love in 3 seconds, right?
Yeah.
And so you're like, yes, let's just carry this out. This is great. You're home. It's perfect. And then you get home, and now you have kids. You have to learn to reparent together. If you had your baby while your husband was gone, my son was only 2 weeks old when my husband deployed, so we never had to parent together. We had to learn to parent together after deployment. And so I had to step back and be like, okay, I've got to let him learn to parent now. Whereas I've been doing this for 9.5 months. Okay. So, learning to parent again, and even if you had your kids before, learning to parent together and letting them make the crucial decisions so they feel like they're part of the family, part of the team. I think that is important for them, so then they feel that they can step up and that they need to step up back into the dad spot is important. It is a learning process. There's bumps. There's, some smooth road.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think it's very important that you carve out your personal time with your husband too, if you have children, to reconnect. And
yes. And it's hard too when you're getting back into the whole family setting, where my husband's very disciplinarian with the children, and I'm not so much. So when he sees things that maybe were going on while he was deploying, he's like, I don't know about this. We need to change this up. Then those are the kind of things you're like, just calm down, let's just wait. Let's so those kind of things are kind of hard. Just button heads with each other about how you do things with the kids and everything, because you've been doing it yourself for forever. So while they've been gone, and all of a sudden they show up and they want to change everything that you've been doing.
Right.
So yeah, those are like little things that you have to go through.
I think understanding also just kind of the physical, what's going to happen to your spouse when they come back. So they're eating and they're sleeping is very disrupted. And that takes a couple of weeks to get back on track. I know my husband had stomach issues for weeks after he got home. And the sleep pattern is really different. He was used to being up long hours, and he was exhausted. And so just getting back into kind of civilization as we know it, back into our culture as we know it, it took him some time. And so I had to kind of step back and say, oh, okay. And I don't know if you all have experienced this. We were talking about this. They're not supposed to drive for a period of time after they return. They're supposed to acclimate. Did your husband have that?
I think so.
My husband wasn't supposed to drive. There is a rule, whether it's followed or not, but they're not supposed to drive for a lot of different reasons. But, just acclimating back into what society looks like in our space. And that takes a little bit of time for them.
Right.
I have somebody, Rebecca Heifel, she said with preteens and teens, I explained that what shows and fads the kids were into so they could talk to each other about it.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, that is good.
Excellent.
Yeah, and then she said, prepare spouse in advance with what each child is doing. One child was all of a sudden into fairies and Tinkerbell, so she had a brand new fairy doll in the trunk that Daddy gave her right when he came home.
Oh, that's really sweet.
That is fantastic.
That's a really good idea.
And join in on the jet lag, nap when they nap. And have cookies and milk and conversation at 2 a.m. in the morning.
Oh, that's sweet.
So that's
a great
special
idea.
way. Yeah, that is then the kids feel that that's special too.
Yeah,
I love that because they know that that's something kind of out of the norm. Like I remember going back to my childhood, and my mom had my sister was ill and had to be hospitalized a lot, and so I spent a lot of time with my dad, and so. My mom, who was the disciplinarian in the family, we always ate at the kitchen table and, healthy, well-rounded meal. But my dad, when he would watch me, I'd get to sit at the coffee table and watch TV with him, or he would read the sports section. I guess it was probably just to keep me quiet. I was really young, but he would read the sports section out of the newspaper aloud. So I'm sure he was wanting to read it, but he was reading aloud to me, but I felt involved in it. And so those are the special little things that we can do. And I love that tip. So great tip.
That's good.
Okay, another thing is, what is it like for them? What accommodations do we need to make? I mean, it affects the whole family, and they come home, they've been gone for, 6, 9, 12 months plus. And what would you suggest? That was a great suggestion with, helping our kids to reintegrate in that and letting him know kind of what's happened in their life. At what point do you bring your husbands back into the parenting as a parent, not just getting to know them again? And also just back into life, like the chores and into the daily routine. Any tips?
Go ahead.
Oh, great. All right.
We'll go down the line. We'll let you go.
We'll go down the line.
Now we got a routine here.
Yeah, sure. Okay, so honestly, the day after my husband got home, he just started helping out with things. He is very helpful in the house, which I am blessed with. But we also decided that to get into a good routine, we would have a whiteboard in the kitchen. So once he got off work, say it was 6 o'clock, every 15 minutes, we had marked down what we should be doing. So I'm cooking dinner. He comes home, he gets undressed, he has time to hang out with the kid, and I finish cooking, we eat. As he cleans up, I bathe the kid, we put the kid to bed together, and then we have us time. That made it extremely easy for us to learn how to run a household together, to parent together, and to achieve our alone time every single night.
That's good. For us, I think it was, I just let him have time when he needed time. So the first couple of weeks were just sort of normal. We have been together for a long time prior to the particular deployment. And so it just kind of got normal. I saw him start to need a little more time about a month or two after. And there were just times that I don't know what he was dealing with. We never discussed it, but there was times he just needed alone time. He just needed to be alone. And if that meant we went to the garage or he went and played a video game, and I just needed to understand that he's just reacclimating. He'd been gone for a very long time, 10 months by that time, and nobody's going to be the same after a 10-month separation. there's going to be something. And so he had to work through some stuff, and that took a couple months, and I just tried to let him have that time. And so I think giving them, yes, keeping him involved, and my husband is pretty good as well, does a lot of cooking and cleaning and things like that. But when he said he just couldn't, or he kind of gave me those signs he couldn't, then I gave him that space. So just kind of watch for it and give them the space when they need it. You can't expect them to be perfect when they come home.
Exactly. Let me chime in real quick. Okay, so that was how we got used to doing things
yeah,
together.
I think it's great. Yeah.
Like, we don't still do that. We don't have that 15-minute charting.
No, but I think it's a great idea. And absolutely. No, I think it's a great idea.
I think letting them step into their nothing box is very important. As Wendy knows, as my neighbor, my husband has his man cave in the garage, and he's there every single day.
Our husbands talk across the fence from their garages.
Yeah.
Because that's just where they hang out. They hang out together separately in the garages.
Yeah.
That's what they do. Yeah.
So that's cool. Wendy's husband now has a TV out there, and my husband's really jealous, so that's an issue.
It's never an issue. It's never an issue.
Nothing boxes is important for them. And I think also giving them time to hang out with the people they were deployed with.
Yes.
Helps them to cope afterwards, because you can't expect to be able to relate to them from whatever they experienced down there, whereas their male friends can.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Very good point.
I have a couple people have chimed in here. One lady said, I agree with Noelle. Start right away. I have my husband 24 hours, then he hopped right into, losing it now. He hopped right into our routine. So she totally agrees with you there.
Yeah.
But Rebecca says, expect frustrations. I changed the kitchen around a bit. Glasses were moved to the other side of the sink. And after reaching the 10th time in 2 days, he slammed the cabinet. He said he felt like everything changed. But it was one cabinet. After we talked, he mentioned that he was realizing how much of the little stuff he missed. It was a 15-month deployment.
That is such a good point too.
Some people move in between,
You move, or things change. Life goes on for both them and for us at home, and so it's not going to be a honeymoon, and it's going to be difficult to acclimate to each other and get used to each other again. So it's sort of like when your first year of marriage, and you're still learning about them and everything. And sometimes the first year of marriage is one of the roughest, and so it's sort of like that again. You have to get used to each other, and then they have each child that was added in between. It kind of adds that to that dynamic, and they grow. And so
I really like what Sharita said. My hubs is an introvert and I'm an extrovert. So when he comes home from deployment or TDY, he does need some alone time just to unwind, because he has usually been around people nonstop for months.
I think
that's me.
See, and I think that's such a great point. It is your husband's personality, and that's my husband's a big introvert as well.
Yeah.
So he reintegrated with our family and then kind of needed to take some time away.
Respect their nothing box.
Yeah. And I think that the communication at that point is crucial.
Yes, that's through it all, no matter how you do it.
Yeah, you need to ask, do you need alone time? Or let them know, hey, I need some alone time. Communicate.
Those feelings, instead of being frustrated at each other, not knowing what each other feels, just say it. Just communicate.
Yes.
I think that's so great. If you see the frustration, instead of being frustrated back, say, what is that? Where's that coming from? How can I help you with that? Instead of feeling it and taking it personally, just knowing that it's just a big change. And
don't take it personally.
Right.
That's right.
Yeah, don't take it personally, and just try and kind of get them through it, because they may not even realize it. Like our one here, you didn't realize how much he missed all the little things until he couldn't find the cups in his kitchen. So,
And I think that there's a factor of guilt in there. Just like we as moms, when we send our children off to daycare or to school, we have mom guilt. And I think they have
huge
guilt, spouse guilt or daddy guilt or what, because they've missed the little things, the school programs, or the first time that their baby walked, or the little things, and they can't be there. And even though we're grateful that they're away serving our country and protecting us, the flip side of it is their heart, I think, is very much focused at home and feeling guilty. So, and then I love what you said, Wendy, about to ask them, what can we do? Where's that coming from? And what can I do to help you? Because then that shows we're not blaming them. We're on the same team. And I think that's important too, is remember we're on the same team. You know, we're not enemies. We're going through this together, husband and wife, and that's.
I have another point here. Somebody was talking about, okay, Rebecca says, when I taught, when I taught deployment classes, I was adamant that they never use a deployed parent as a threat.
Right.
It can build such a wall and mistrust when you say, just wait till your father or mother come home. And that is a big one. And to add in that is sharing the discipline even through deployment to solidify that the parents are one with each other. Skype letters saying, I hear you're having problems with respecting your mom. And I know my husband was very big on that too when we were apart. It's like if I was having problems with the kid, he was on the phone, you know, talking to them about it or talking it out with them. So, but don't use that threatening thing.
Yeah.
Just wait till your parents come home because he
Because
knows
then-
when they're coming home.
Yeah, and then
First of all, when
then-
are they coming?
and
He's
then-
like, yeah, Mom, he's coming home. Right.
And then they're afraid. They're afraid that they're going to be in trouble when mom or dad
Yes,
comes home. So
right.
they're like, oh, now I'm going to be in trouble for all the things I ever did. Right.
Mom, you
Yes,
know?
that's such a good point.
Yes.
Really, really good.
Yeah.
Well, and some of the things we've been talking about is the things, the frustrations and the difficulties that we have in the reintegration process. Did you ever experience in the days or weeks or even months after your spouse came home, a particularly rough patch, and could you give an example? Sometimes it's not, it's not even little things. It can be something, a really difficult patch that you went through, or whether you went through it or they went through it or the kids went through it, whatever that was, and how did you handle it? Do you have an example?
I can't think of anything.
I can. Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah.
So my husband came home from his first deployment, and he had been blown up, well, not literally, but 2 feet away from him, a grenade blew up, which caused some TBI, which he got PTSD from. So when he came home, we had just gotten married, and we struggled with a lot of PTSD issues for years. It was on and off, and it was some severe distance between us, and him just being off. He's really loving, social, fun, happy guy, just goes with the flow. It was very drastic change. And we got through that by, strong commitment to marriage for sure. Praise the Lord for that one. And eventually, after years, some counseling, which was great, and that helped tremendously. It took a long time, but he opened up to me, and that he needed to be able to talk to his guy friends and not me, that I wasn't the one that could help him with that kind of thing. So I let that happen. I let him have his guy time. I let him have his nothing box. And over time, healing came, but it did take time. It was a long, hard road. There was good times that we thought we were past it, and then whoop, slip up again. It was just an up and down little roller coaster.
And I'm gonna brag on Noelle a little bit. I just see her commitment to this marriage, and she works really hard. And Trey's a wonderful person, but they have just committed to stick through it, no matter how difficult it got. And so that is a huge part of it, that she didn't give up. She didn't give up on him. She kept him.
And him too.
Right, of course, yeah.
He's done really great, but that was a big burden through some times, and caused from deployment that we just had to work through.
Yeah. And may I share that your husband was awarded the Purple Heart?
Yes, he was.
For his bravery. So that's amazing.
Yes, that was a blessing. We were so happy that he got that award. And of course, the day that we waited a long time for the ceremony, the day the ceremony happened, man, it poured rain. I did my hair, my makeup. I had this cute outfit, and it was just pouring on us. It was like, all right, God, That's all right. We're here. This day came.
Yeah, and then we're driving. So off topic, but we're driving, and then there was a dog in the road, and we all had to get out and try and chase the dog.
We were almost late.
We were
to the
almost
ceremony.
late to the ceremony. And
They waited around for us.
both our husbands are standing there like, really? Where are you? You know,
Yeah,
yeah.
it was great. Yeah.
So you just it never goes smooth in the military. You just roll with it, right?
Yes, that's
yeah.
right.
Gumby.
Chasing
Roll along.
chasing the dog through the street in the rain
I'm
before
sure
the
there's
Purple Heart.
like a cadence for that or something, you know. The army keeps rolling along.
Yeah, I think that's what
Yeah.
it is. Yeah. Yep. Oh, too funny.
Well, and thank your husband for us, for his bravery and his service to our country. And thank you. I mean, I think you're a fantastic example of, you know, what it means to be an Army wife. We're supposed to be resilient. You know, how does that saying go? That there's Army strong and then there's Army wife strong.
Yeah.
So you are the example of
Yeah.
it. So,
Definitely.
Thank you.
So real fast, what support is available then for our families after redeployment?
So your chaplains, your MFLEX, your military family life consultants. There's outside counseling through My Army One Source, and there is another one that I always forget. I think it's My Army One Source.
Military One Source.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yep.
Military
So there's
One
counseling
Source
through
and
both of
Army One
those.
Source, right.
What do you guys think? Friends, continue with your friendships.
Yes. And these things can really help you. Don't think you can't go and talk to them or they're going to tell everybody everything because it's confidential. So don't think it's going to go to your husband's unit or anything like that because it's not. And don't feel like you can't go to them because you can. And sometimes it's good to just let things out.
Absolutely.
Right.
I think it's important for spouse and the husband and the wife to both have the outlets to talk to aside from each other.
Your table talk with the ladies or men, whatever, or men's spouses. Yeah, either way, your table talk. Yeah, whatever. For sure. Yeah.
Staying involved in. So is there anything special that you and your family did? Sources that came in and supported you during the time?
I would say our close friendships. We had friends that were like family, and they were the ones who were really there for us and helped us. And I'm very thankful for here. Wendy is my neighbor.
Oh gosh. Aww.
Sometimes I still run to her house when I just need to get away. I sneak
going to
over.
hide now.
I'm going upstairs. Nobody can find me. Come talk to me. You know, I really think just friendship, and then some counseling if needed. Don't be ashamed. Just do it.
Know when it's time to do it. Yeah.
Yes, and take that step for yourself and for your family.
Right. Excellent. Well, that's it for us today. It's been fun. It's been informative, and we're just so blessed that you all joined us. And thank you, Noelle.
Thank you
for joining us at the table today and sharing your heart and your experiences to help someone else. So
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Viewers, thank you for watching and for your comments and questions and tips. We love those tips. Keep them coming. Did you enjoy this video? We would love it if you would like and share it with your friends. Who knows? I'm sure there's others out there that could really use the advice and information given here.
Mark your calendars for our next AWN Table Talk Live, cast which will be Friday, April 13th at 3:30 p.m. Eastern and 2:30 Central.
If we didn't get your questions today, we'll work out and get them answered for you on our next AWN Table Talk. Have a topic you would like us to cover in the future on AWN Table Talk? Leave a comment or email us at info@armywifenetwork.com and let us know. We'd love to hear from you.
We are taking March 30th off to spend Good Friday with our families. However, we have a fantastic pre-recorded video with a very special guest that we'll be posting in our social media that day, so be sure to look for it. In the meantime, download our free mobile app from iTunes or Google Play and stay in the know with what's going on with AWN.
Army Wife Network is your interactive empowerment for Army wives by Army wives. Thank you for watching.
Have a great day.
Bye. Happy St. Patty's Day.
I can get this to turn off now.